guys, thanks for stopping by here on a real special bike test that we've got today. We're at Cahuilla Creek Raceway after some rain. It's great out here. Track's been amazing. And we're getting a ride on Dante Oliveira's race-winning bike. This is literally right off of the 29 Palms Grand Prix race that he won 4 in a row. 2 weeks earlier, he won a GNCC race, which is something that's pretty rare. I know that off-road racing is not as popular as moto and supercross in the United States. But it's a shame, because if you've ever go to watch one, whether it's a GNCC or something out west, man, these guys are savage. And for him to be able to be as dominant as he has out here in the Hare Scramble Series and Grand Prix racing, and then jump over to GNCC and also win there, it's very, very difficult. There's not a lot of guys that have gone from east to west or west to east. It's just very different. Much more high speed out here, more technical in the woods back there. So 2 very different disciplines. So impressive what Dante's been able to do. And it's a shame that he hasn't gotten more notoriety, because he is a beast. And if you've ever seen him ride, you know that's true. So I was really excited to get a ride on this bike today. Timmy Wiegand, the race team manager, was kind enough to let us try it. And, you know, we chatted a little bit about what goes into this thing. Yes, it's their legit kit suspension, factory stuff. But the engine is in fact, the whole bike is very similar to what the Supercross and Motocross race team would use. I didn't know if there would be a lot of differences or trick parts, but Grand Prix racing out here, it's a motocross track with some high speed off-road sections, you know, 7, 8, 10-minute lap times, something in that realm. And so it's very similar. The one thing that they probably did to this is a little bit different mapping, or tune the engine so that it's a little more friendly. You got to race for a long time. It's not just a short event. So 1.5-hour main events that they run. And so you want it to be rideable. You want to be able to hang on to this thing for that long. And so it's just mellowed out. And so let me give you the breakdown of what I felt on this thing. The suspension's incredible. My favorite part was the suspension on this thing. Just super, super plush. Any little chatter, if I overjumped something or went long, just absorbed the landing perfectly. Like, you can just tell this stuff is legit. And the harder you push it, the better it works, which is always indicative of factory suspension. It's always been that way. And I'm probably not even close to the limits of what this thing's capable of, but it was really fun to feel it. So that was for me, the best part of the whole bike. Loved the suspension. The engine, like I said, very, very smooth and rideable, because out here we get a lot of slick, hard stuff, you know, and so you've got to really be able to control the throttle and maintain a drift out of a turn, or just try to keep this thing underneath you. So you can't have a bunch of horsepower piling on all at once. And what they've done with this thing is just spread the power super, super broad, which KTMs kind of have anyway. But man, this thing, great throttle response. It's right there, but it doesn't just dump a bunch of power to the rear wheel right away. It's very smooth and just gradual. But then as you start getting half throttle, 3/4 full throttle, hang on, this thing starts to pick up and really go. And it pulls forever, like KTMs tend to do. So the power is just so broad. That's the cool thing about this engine. You can either leave it in a gear, you don't have to worry about it just hitting the limiter and falling off, or you can short shift it and it'll keep pulling them. It's great, great, great engine. Brakes, awesome, no problems. Actually, really strong front brake. And I asked about the rear, because it's a solid rear rotor. They said actually the solid rotor will dissipate heat better. I always thought that's what the holes were for, but apparently they're just saying that's weight savings, and as they understand it, this dissipates heat better. High speeds out here, you're on the brake a lot, so makes sense. One thing I did not like, Dante's got a weird setup with his levers. He runs them way in to where the little ball in the end is right up against his finger. Super odd, but hey, it's working for him. I'm not going to tell him to change anything. But that was something that was really strange for me, because I just left it. I didn't touch sag. I did nothing. He's maybe 5-10 pounds lighter than me, but I just ran it. Really comfortable, though, up top. I like the bars. The steering dampener, I don't even notice. And actually, I was kind of worried about the big IMS tank. Would it feel piggy and just like, you know, like I'm riding a tractor? And Timmy said, he goes, you're not even going to notice it. He was right. I didn't even notice it once I started riding. So when you're sitting there on the bike, you kind of look down and go, oh, that's a lot of fuel. You know, I don't know, it's a big thing, but once you're riding, I didn't even notice it. The bike turns really well, doesn't feel heavy. It feels like a moto bike, really. The handguards were probably more distracting for me than the tank. Really good foot pegs. They're running this titanium setup. It's a solid platform. They use MX-34 tires on here with a tubeless system, which is a different feel if you've never really run those. It's just kind of a dead, it's kind of a dead feel. And sometimes it can feel like it slides, like it doesn't grip as well. But that's something you got to be willing to give up when you're going 80, 90 miles an hour into rocks like these guys do. I don't do that, but they're hitting 80, 90 miles an hour in some of these events. So they've got to be able to hit stuff hard and not be able to flat out. So anyway, all around awesome bike. And really when you start looking at it, the differences between this and the Pro Supercross bikes are very few. They do have a Nihilo Concepts secondary on switch down here. Nihilo Concepts throttle housing, just a couple of things that are a little more for reliability, durability, worst case scenario type of things. But it's really not that different than what you'd see in a motocross race bike. Really cool gripper here. The gut seat cover holds you right in place. It's got a really nice sound with the FMF exhaust. So just an all around great package. And I think what I found, my overall takeaway from this thing is it's rideable and it's comfortable. I said I could just move those levers out of touch to where I like them. And this feels like a bike I set up for myself. I mean, it's great. And I feel like it's probably like that for a really wide range of riders. You know, it's just set up really well. The whole team, the mechanic, Bobby D, did a great job getting this thing dialed and really making it rider friendly. So that said, Dante's still got to go out and twist the throttle, which he clearly does. So I just want to thank all these guys, Timmy, Bobby, the whole KTM off-road race team for letting us have a ride on this thing. Dante, thank you. I promise I was nice to it. No tip overs. You're all set. But this was really a privilege to get to ride this thing. An incredible, incredible bike. It's always fun to see the performance at the very highest level, which gives me a lot of perspective testing standard bikes and project bikes. And this would be the best off-road machine I've ever ridden. That's without question. So big thank you to these guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Dante, good luck on this thing. I don't think you're going to need it. If you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos, comment what you thought, and share it with your friends.